Welcome back. In this video, I will teach you a very powerful tool called the model that can help you not only crush procrastination, but literally solve any challenge or problem that you are currently facing in your life. So everything we do or don't do in life is to either feel a pleasant emotion or to avoid feeling a negative one. So the key point of this program is for you to develop emotional intelligence, which is claimed to be even more important than your IQ for achieving any success. So the main coaching tool that we are using to beat procrastination is called the model. It is a coaching model based on the cognitive behavioral therapy, which has been practiced since the 1950s, and it has been recently reinvented and popularized by Brooke Castillo. Here is the model. The model consists of 5 lines. The first line are your circumstances. Your circumstances always trigger a certain thought or thoughts in your mind, which then produce your feelings. Your feelings drive your actions or inactions, and those actions or actions cause your results. Now, what you should also know is that your results will always give you evidence for the thoughts that you have. The circumstances in your life are always facts. Okay, I will expand on those a little bit more, but the first things you should know is that circumstances are always facts and they are always neutral. They don't mean anything, they don't have any inherent meaning, they're always neutral. The circumstances would trigger some sort of thoughts in your mind, and those thoughts are nothing else but sentences in your head, and they are always optional. Your thoughts are not necessarily aligned with the truth of the facts. They're always optional, and we can always change them. So then the thoughts that produce your feelings, feelings are simply vibrations in the body. That's it. Feelings are simply vibrations in the body, and they drive the actions, and the actions then cause your results. What is so great about the model is that whatever it is going on in your life, it can fit into the model and it can give you a different perspective on the problem. The whole premise of the model is to help you separate the mind drama from the actual facts of your life. And therefore, it's going to give you so much room and clarity to actually change your behavior. It is so powerful. And we will look at a few examples right now. So yeah, let's take a more in-depth look and see how we can work with the model. First of all, circumstances are all the things in your life that are outside of your control. They're always facts. They're not interpretations or opinions about things. How you know that something is a fact is usually everybody needs to agree on it, and it excludes adjectives that could be opinions. It can be proven in the court of law. So, for example, it is a fact that outside is 5 degrees. It's just a fact. Everyone can agree on it. You can go and measure it. It's a fact that outside is 5 degrees. But to say that outside is cold, it is not a fact anymore. It's an opinion because it may be cold for you, but not for me. Okay, so circumstances are all the things that you don't have control over. And that is actually the only line in the model that you have no control over. Everything else is within your control. Thoughts are sentences in your head. You know it's a thought when it is not a circumstance, when it's not a circumstance if there aren't any descriptive words or opinions in the sentence around the facts. So thoughts are what you make the circumstance mean, and it's your interpretation of the circumstance. They are always optional, and they are not always true. For example, thinking that your friend is rude for being late for your birthday is a thought. It's just your opinion of it. Other people may have a different opinion for the same event. A lot of times we confuse the circumstances or the facts with our thoughts. And because we have thought something so often and so many times, we now think it's a fact. But you will learn how to challenge that and how to start separating the thoughts from the facts. So you can say, well, of course it's rude that she's late for my birthday. Like, it's a fact. She's rude. But that's not a fact. The fact is that she was late, but your interpretation of it or what you make it mean is a thought that only you have. Maybe I don't agree with that. Maybe I would just, if I see that your friend is late for your birthday, for me, it might not mean that she's rude. It might mean that she's just busy or something like that, right? So it is just your opinion of it, and other people may have different opinions for the same event. Feelings. Your feelings are just vibrations in the body. Feelings are always produced by your thoughts. So when using the model, feelings should be described in one word. For example, happy, sad, angry, ashamed, determined, joyful, etc. Many people confuse thoughts with feelings, but you will learn how to start differentiating between those and become very good at pinpointing the different thoughts that cause different emotions and separating those from the actual facts, and therefore produce different action or different result in your life. So, for example, if I ask you how you felt about your friend being late, you might say, well, I'm frustrated because she's being rude. In this example, the feeling you're having is frustration. The thought that you're having about the circumstance is that your friend is being rude. Your friend being late is not in and of itself frustrating. It's a neutral circumstance. It is what you make it mean that calls you to feel in a certain way. No one can cause you to feel a certain way. A lot of times we have examples like, let's say, oh, my husband is driving me crazy. You know, it's like, no, nobody has this power over you. And this is a good thing, okay? It is the thought about his behavior that is causing you to feel a certain way. Your thoughts about what someone did or didn't do are what cause you to feel that. Your thoughts cause your emotions always. So actions and inactions. Actions are what you do, don't do, or react to. In other words, actions, inactions, and reactions. In the model, your feelings fuel your actions, inactions, and reactions. Procrastination is considered inaction. For example, let's say by feeling frustrated, by feeling frustrated with your friend being late, you decide not to talk to her for the rest of the week. The frustration you felt drove the action of giving her the silent treatment, okay? This is an action caused by the way you interpreted the fact, and then you felt a certain way about that fact, and then that caused you to take certain action. In this case, let's say giving her the silent treatment. And the result that you create is always a consequence or outcome of your actions, inactions, or reactions. Using the example, the same example, the consequence of you not talking to your friend for a week might be that you're being rude to her and not showing up how you would want to show up in that relationship. So your results will always give you evidence for the initial thought that you've had. We will now explore a couple more examples, so that's going to become even clearer for you. Here's the first example. Yeah, so one more thing about the model. You can start and work through the model from any of those lines, okay? You can start by the action, you can start by a feeling, you can start with a thought, you can start with a circumstance, or you can start with the result. And I will give you an example for each one of those different lines and how working through the model from the different lines looks like. Now, let's start with the action line, or in this case, inaction, because in this program, we are mainly talking about procrastination. Let's start with an example of inaction. So the action that we have is inaction, and this inaction is not starting your business. So we work up on the model, and then we ask ourselves, how do I feel when I think about starting my business? How do I feel when right before I don't do anything about it? Well, I feel overwhelmed. What am I thinking when I feel overwhelmed? Well, I'm thinking I need to research everything. This is actually a real example from one of my clients who told me, and he thought it was a fact. He told me, well, I need to research everything and I feel so overwhelmed and then I don't do anything. And he really believes that he needs to research everything. And I asked him, is that really true? Do you need to research everything? He's like, yes, I do. Like, I need to research everything. And like you can see, like in his head, this is a fact. In his mind, this is true. He thinks that he really needs to research everything. But I question this, I challenge it, and I ask him, like, what is the fact about this thought that you have? What is the actual truth and factual neutral circumstance? Well, Okay, I'll give you the example in a little bit, but yeah, okay. So what happens when he thinks I need to research everything? Well, he feels overwhelmed, and when he feels overwhelmed, what happens? Well, he is not starting his business. So what is the result that he produces? Well, he doesn't research anything, and therefore he doesn't have a business. Right? So the results will always give you evidence for the thoughts that you have. I need to research everything, and therefore I'm not researching anything, and I'm creating the results of me not having a business because I keep thinking that I need to research everything, and that perpetuates me to feel overwhelmed. And then the do you see how that works? But when I ask him, okay, challenge that thought. Is that really true? Is it true? Can everybody agree on that? Can you prove this thought in the court of law? Well, not actually. What is the circumstance? The circumstance is that you need to read 2 books and learn 1 marketing strategy to get started, for example, right? So is that everything? No, it's not. The circumstance, the fact is read 2 books, learn 1 marketing strategy. And once you quantify that and you say, okay, I actually don't need to research everything. I just need to read 2 books and learn 1 marketing strategy. Now the thought is different. Now the thought is different. How would it make you feel if you know that you need to read only 2 books and learn 1 marketing strategy? With not necessarily overwhelmed, right? Because you don't need to research everything anymore. You research just 2 books and learn 1 marketing strategy. Okay, well, that would even produce a feeling of excitement or a feeling of determination. And when you feel determined, what you're gonna do? Well, you're gonna get shit done. You're gonna actually learn the strategy. You're gonna maybe start your business, like take the first step or something. What result is that gonna create in your life? Well, you're gonna start working on the business and getting clients and earning money. Now let's take another example, starting with the F line, the feelings. Let's say you're feeling scared, okay? Um, let's say you're feeling scared. What is the thought that produces the feeling of fear? Well, yeah, what happens when you like you ask yourself those questions, right? I'm gonna give you worksheets and you're gonna practice a lot of those models so you can get used to it. But yeah, for example, what am I thinking when I feel afraid? What am I thinking when I feel afraid? Well, I think that I'm gonna fail. Okay, why do I think I'm gonna fail? What is the circumstance? Well, there is a presentation scheduled for tomorrow. Okay, so that's a fact. It's very neutral. It doesn't mean anything on its own. Like it doesn't have any opinion in it. It's very factual. It's very neutral presentation scheduled for tomorrow. That's it. Now, what you make that mean is I'm gonna fail. When you think the thought, I'm gonna fail, or I'm gonna embarrass myself, or I'm gonna say something stupid, you feel afraid. When you feel afraid, what happens? Well, you don't work on the presentation. You watch TV instead. You procrastinate, right? I don't work on the presentation. And when you don't work on the presentation, what results are you creating for your life? Well, you set yourself up to fail ahead of time by not even trying. And as we said, your results will always give you evidence for the initial thoughts that you had. I'm going to fail. I'm going to fail. And then what happens? Well, you set yourself up for success, for failure ahead of time by not even trying. Now, it is very important to separate the mind's drama from the actual facts. There is a presentation scheduled for tomorrow, and then you make it mean I'm going to fail. Can you choose to have a different thought? Can you choose to have a different thought? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Will you? How can you choose? So here's the important part. What thought can I choose that's gonna get me to feel a different way? Because you know your feelings will drive your actions. Or another way you can phrase this is how do I need to feel to get into action and to work on my presentation? Well, if I feel excited, I might actually work on the presentation instead of watching TV. Well, what kind of thought is gonna have me feel excited? Well, I don't know. That's up to you. Choose a thought that is going to get you excited and question this thought that you initially had. So, is it really true? How we question the thought is by asking, is it really true? Is it really true that you are going to fail? You have no idea. Like, well, what does failure even mean? How would you know if you failed? And if you failed, so what? So what are you really afraid of? And what is the actual fact, right? So what if you think a different thought? What if you said, I have a presentation scheduled for tomorrow, and the thought I choose to have is, I'm gonna give it my all. I'm gonna give it my best. I'm gonna give it all I have. How is that gonna make you feel? Well, even if it doesn't get you excited, at least it can get you to calm down or to feel neutral about it, and then you can still get shit done. I hope that makes sense. Now, let's work with the T line, thoughts. Let's say you have the thought it's hard to make money. Okay, that's a thought you have. It's hard to make money. A lot of us think that's a fact. A lot of us think that's the holy truth because we thought it so many times, so we don't question it anymore. Now, what is the actual circumstance? Well, I've made $1,000 with my business in 6 months. That's the circumstance. It's factual. You can measure it. It's the truth, right? I've made $1,000 with my business in 6 months. Now, what you make this mean, how you interpret this is, well, it's hard to make money because I've made only $1,000 with my business in 6 months. So when you think the thought, it's hard to make money, how do you feel? Well, you feel discouraged. So what actions discouragement drives? Well, you don't work on making more money because you feel discouraged. So instead, you overeat, you drink, you complain, and you don't work on actually making more money. So what results do you create for your life? You still have no money. So the results of you still having no money gives you evidence for the thought it's hard to make money. And then when you give yourself evidence that it's hard to make money, you say, you see, I still have no money. And then you keep thinking the thought it's hard to make money. Now, does that mean that it's hard to make money? The fact that you've made $1,000 with your business in 6 months, does that necessarily mean that it's hard to make money? No, absolutely no. It doesn't mean anything. You make it mean something. The only thing it means is that you've made $1,000 with your business in 6 months. That's the only thing it means. It's the fact. Okay. So what if you choose a different thought? Well, I've made $1,000 with my business in 6 months. Cool. I've made money. Um, I made $1,000. It doesn't mean anything. I choose to believe that I can make 2,000 in the next month and then 5,000 in the next whatever. Like you choose what to believe. And this is not necessarily correlated to the facts. It's actually, it has nothing to do with the fact. The fact is $1,000, 6 months. Your thought about it is hard to make money. Is that really true? Is that really true? No. Okay. So you just choose a different interpretation of the circumstance. You just choose a different interpretation of the circumstance. And the interpretation of this circumstance could be, I just started. I am learning. Actually, I've made $1,000. That's amazing. That's amazing. I'm just learning new marketing strategies. I've just started and I've already made $1,000. That's beautiful. How can I make 2,000 next month? What can I learn from this? Right? You don't make it mean anything that is causing you to feel discouraged. Make it mean something that is causing you to feel excited and it's going to propel you into action and it's going to give you evidence that it's actually easy to make money. It's actually not hard at all to make money because I've actually made $1,000. So I hope this is getting a bit clearer and clearer. It's going to take practice for you to master the model, but yes, but the more you do it, the easier it will become. So when you change your actions and don't change the thoughts and feelings behind the actions, there is resistance, which makes it difficult or if not impossible to see real change. That is treating the symptom instead of the root cause of the problem. Okay, so you see, like if you start with the actions and you're like, oh, this business is not working, I'm gonna try this thing, and then I'm gonna jump with this niche, and then I'm gonna do this and that, and then you start 500 different things, and you keep not making any progress, you don't fundamentally change the results because the thoughts and feelings are what drives the actions and then creates the results. So instead of treating the symptom, we need to find the root cause of the problem. And here's the thing, guys, you cannot be the watcher of your thoughts and also be your thoughts at the same time. So when you shine a light on the thoughts in your mind and step outside of yourself, you can see that you're not what you do, what you think, or what creates, or what you create as your results. Many of us identify with our thoughts, and because we've thought it so many times, we feel like they're true. But you can choose what you think. You can actually choose what you think. And many people are afraid to choose a thought which serves them because it doesn't feel true to them, right? But remember, thoughts are always optional. Why not choose a thought that's going to drive you into action? Okay, so you can use the model to uncover false beliefs that could be keeping you stuck in inaction and simply question them. Is that really true? What is the facts? What is the actual facts? Now, if you don't tell your brain what to focus on or what to think about, it will go to the old patterns. The brain likes to do what it's really good at. And what it's really good at is stuff that it's done before a lot. So unfortunately, for many of us, that's a lot of very negative, anxiety-producing, frustrating thinking. Asking your brain questions is the most powerful thing you can do. The brain loves to answer questions, and it will always give you answers for whatever questions you ask. It will search for evidence and it will show it back to you. Whatever you think repeatedly, your brain is focused on. Now, that's not to say that you will never feel negative emotions. You will. We are made to feel the full range of emotions available to us as human beings, from anger to bliss. The key is to learn how to allow them and not resist them. Sometimes we would have an emotion like fear when, let's say, we are about to do something new. And there could be all of those thoughts arising, such as like, what if I fail? What if it doesn't work out, etc. And that would produce fear. And in moments like this, we just must learn how to process the negative emotion and not run away from it. Because sometimes processing the emotion comes before questioning the thought, a lot of the times. And sometimes the very deeply rooted thoughts might need a bit more questioning and a bit more challenging before they are dissolved. So instead of instead of trying to change the thought until it produces a positive emotion, we can learn how to allow the negative ones, not resist them, and just do the freaking thing anyway. So the work is about allowing ourselves to observe the thought we are thinking and the feeling that the thought is producing and just be willing to experience it, not beat ourselves up or trying to run away from it. When we are aware of the thought and then just allow the respective emotion to be there, we are confident that there is no emotion we are not willing to feel. We are not trying to run away from a vibration in the body. Then we can say, okay, that's interesting. But is that how I want to keep thinking? Let's say you spot some sort of thought that is limiting you, okay? You can just, instead of judging it, just be like, okay, that's very interesting, but is that how I want to keep thinking? Who would I be without this thought? Who would I be without this thought? In terms of allowing the emotions to be there and experiencing them willingly, I want you to think about this. Let's say you fear embarrassing yourself, and that's why you aren't putting yourself on social media. Now imagine a little alien comes over and asks you, so what does embarrassment feel like? Like, what would you say? How would you explain to a little alien what embarrassment feels like? Well, you would probably say something like, well, you're sweating a little bit, your heart is racing, you turn red, and all of that just for a few minutes. Wow, it's so scary. Just think about it. You are afraid. You are not chasing your dreams because you're afraid of a little bit of sweat and a little bit of heart racing. Like, really? How is that scary? So, negative emotion is just a vibration in the body and it is completely harmless. It cannot do anything to you. So, if you learn how to let it be there instead of fighting it like crazy, you will be unstoppable. And when we are just about to do something challenging, in the split second in which we hesitate and decide that rearranging our desktop icons is more important, we are avoiding what our brain perceives as a negative emotion, challenging, boring, difficult, whatever. But now, instead of indulging in the false sense of relief and escape from that negative emotion, we can choose to face it. And here's an amazing analogy, an example that I give to all of my clients that I find it's perfectly perfectly explains what I mean by allowing the little discomfort to be there. Imagine that you're getting a shot in the hospital, okay? You know that feeling of the needle pricking your skin will be a bit unpleasant. It's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, But you don't go screaming in the hallway like a crazy person trying to avoid that mild discomfort, are you? No, you're not. You know, like you anticipate that it's going to be a little bit unpleasant, right? When the needle pricks your skin, you know it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable. But what do, you don't go screaming out in the hallway like a crazy person trying to avoid that mild discomfort. What you usually do is take a deep breath and brace yourself and let the needle prick your skin, knowing that it won't do anything to you, knowing that it's not gonna harm you. That's what experiencing an emotion is. That's what being willing to face any emotion is bracing yourself and allowing that emotion to run through your body and dissipate naturally. Okay. It's the same with processing emotions and beating procrastination. You know that reaching out to cold leads won't be the most pleasant activity in the world, but if you can just lean into the emotion, lean into the discomfort, and surrender to it, all of a sudden you get yourself in action and then you build momentum because it's that initial uh, push that you need. And then once you start, you build momentum. So here's my formula for achieving anything. Try, try again, and keep trying. For the first try, you need to have a compelling vision and a strong why. To try again, you need to build resilience to overcome failure. And to keep trying, you need to have enough emotional intelligence and faith in the outcome so you can lean in the discomfort and stay consistent until you get there. There is no failing if you never quit, because eventually you will succeed. Like, how does one achieve a goal? Well, you try again, and then you keep trying. And if you keep trying, you will eventually succeed. But for you to keep trying, you must be willing to experience all of the emotions that will come on the surface, especially when you level up and you achieve more and more success. More and more crap is going to come on the surface. More and more fear and insecurity is going to come on the surface. And that's okay, because now you know that emotions won't do anything to you if you just let them be. If you just let it prick your skin and run through your body. And I've already mentioned it a couple of times. An emotion physically lasts in the body about 90 seconds. Anything after that is you keep thinking about it. That's exactly what it is. So I hope that was helpful. You will find a couple of worksheets on the model down below in the resources. So go ahead and now try to take a challenge that you're currently facing. Maybe think about the things that you're procrastinating on and fit them in the model. See what is the thought that you are having? What is the interpretation of the circumstance? And question it. Ask yourself, is that really true? And what is the neutral fact behind it? Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you. Thank you.